Then we will make the compliance statements, and then we'll try to get something accomplished with it. And we get it on the front. Okay. Okay. Chairperson Colton, amazingly, is actually here now. Member Gordon.
Here.
Member Gaudet, I said he wasn't going to be here, right? Member Kearns.
Here.
Member Kronheim.
Here.
Alternate Lutz.
Here.
Alternate Armstrong.
Here.
Okay. The notice requirements of the Open Public Meeting Law for this meeting have been satisfied. A copy of the annual notice was sent to the Edgewood Park Press and the posted in Town Hall and filed in the office of the Township Clerk on June 28, 2024. This meeting will be recorded and available on Ocean Township's YouTube channel. So the first thing we have is the minutes from last month for approval. So we did have some amended minutes that went out. I don't know if everyone saw them. I got a chance to review them. Does anyone need any time to look at things?
Yeah.
Mine got stolen. Just sit around without it.
You got cause trouble over there.
Thank you, Bill.
Actually, while people are reviewing the minutes, since I'm not there, can anyone else who is attending the meeting, they so desire, announce who they are while people are reviewing the minutes?
Norm, you are so garbled because of being sick. It is very
No, it's not that. No, I had the phone in front of me. Okay, I'll just keep holding the phone. I was trying to look through the paper at the same time.
Okay, well, that doesn't help. Okay.
Is it better now?
Yes.
Is it any
Yes.
better now?
Yes,
Better.
it is. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for telling me. Anyway, so anyone else who's there in attendance, who's not on the commission, who's there as a guest or whatever, if you want to say who you are, so we can keep moving forward a little bit, and then we'll know who's actually all in attendance, and we're going from there.
Sure.
Please
Jason
do.
Hesback.
Okay, go ahead.
Hi, I'm Jason Hesback.
And your phone is your.
Yeah, on behalf of Colonial Terrace.
And Diane
Colonial Terrace.
Sermon here on behalf of the Garden Club.
And I'm Sarah Galloway,
Okay.
I'm also with the Garden Club.
And Sarah Galloway. Welcome.
Thank you.
Sarah Galloway. Okay. All right, I'll get the rest of this. I can't read my handwriting later anyway, so we'll go from there. Okay, that's good. Okay, so has everyone had a chance to check out the minutes that's going to? And
I believe
does anyone
so.
have any proposed amendments or a motion to approve?
A motion to approve.
And who made that?
Patty.
Patty.
Patty?
How many women are on the Shade Tree Commission?
Okay, anyone second?
Moshe will second.
Okay. Okay, I'll vote to approve. Any other votes, please?
Approve.
All in favor?
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay, so the minutes are approved.
Yes.
Now, is Bill Brooks there?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
he is.
Okay, Bill. Hi. Okay, so the first thing I had on there was to try and go over some of the latest things that relate to tree removals and so on and so forth. So, Bill, it's all yours.
Thank you, Norm. Well, the one that's on our agenda is 17 Barber Lane. That's a large silver maple. The resident sewer line runs right under it. He's had repeated problems where he's had to have the line, really rooted out to get the roots out of it. My suspicion is given the age of the house. It's an old, clay pipe bellmouth line. And he wants to put a new line in. Unfortunately, it goes right under the tree. The tree does have structural difficulties. Norm went out and looked at it. It does have vertical columns of decay in it. It is in the right of way for sure. He is willing to replace with a different species of tree. That there are 4 of them in a row, and they are all showing the same kind of decline you would expect for the species at that age. I don't think there's any way to prune it and get the sewer line issue fixed. So he is willing to take the tree out and plant a new tree on his nickel. And I think that's probably a reasonable solution for the resident as to what we have. I don't think the other 2 pose a kind of structural failure threat. So we're going to look into at least lightening the leverage load on the leaders that are left, taking the dead wood out, seeing if we can't keep them in there for maybe another 4 or 5 years before we have to address them as a removal question. But this one, there's the, exacerbating factor of a sewer line right under it.
Has the resident indicated where they would plant the new tree?
But that I have not gotten. If you have a suggestion, I'm sure he will be willing to do it.
Well, I mean, we don't want it too close to the.
Correct. Correct. No, I'm not going to let him put it back on top of the sewer
No,
line.
not the sewer line, but also don't want it next to the curb where it's.
That,
if it isn't
and that
trimmed
is
properly.
a problem with all 4 of these trees. They are, I would say, center of trunk is 3.5 to 5 feet off of the curb edge. So no, I will suggest it back.
Yeah, on his own property maybe.
Well, yeah, I guess if he's planning it, we can request that he do that. There won't be any problem of the township having planted a tree on the residential property, and then, or the town planted it, 20 years from now, when it's a monster and has to come, you gotta take it down. That's a great idea. I'll tell him it's his tree on his property. Okay, so I can process that one when we get to it.
Yeah, it's definitely. we
Okay,
can
sounds
vote.
good. I think there's a major problem we have with trees between the curb and the sidewalk. There's so few places where a reasonably large tree is really a viable planting, and putting something back between the curb and the sidewalk, unless it's something that's going to stay small and not get a big wide trunk, is not good. So we've talked already about the possibility one of these days of plantings for shade trees being on private property somehow. Freehold Township does that. When they come out and plant trees, they put them on someone's property and they tell them, okay, now it's your tree, you take care of it. And people, I guess when they get it, they say, okay, I'll do that.
I appreciate the landowner's willingness to put in a new tree, and I think putting in a big tree is great, since he's taking out a big tree. And that means being on
I
his
can't
lawn.
make him
You can't
necessarily,
make them, but,
I can't make him necessarily plant anything size-wise other than what's delineated in the ordinance. I can, however, describe what that tree would look like and sort of steer him toward
That's
maybe
what I'm
go.
asking.
Okay, I
That's
can
what
try
I'm
it. He's not obligated though.
No, I understand.
Okay, fair enough. I will do that. I will do that.
May I ask a question? In the town, does it direct or ask people to plant native trees? Is this healthier for habitat and the environment?
What the guidance that we are getting from people with a whole lot of letters behind their names is that yes, native tree planting has always been the guideline. However,
That's great.
however, now they're stressing more adaptive tree planting because we are seeing
Climate
a lot
change.
of the southern species
Mhm.
are moving gradually north, and a lot
Right.
of our trees that 150 years ago were here, we don't have as many. Sugar maples for one, and others like that. They're just,
Right.
they're moving north with the temperature change.
Right.
So
The adaptation zone
that's
is
what
changing.
we're trying to do. The native species that are doing well, sure. But the newer ones, the new species that are coming up, if they're thriving, well, they have just become native to this climatic zone. So it makes sense if they're doing well, we should encourage encourage it or at least experiment with it till we find out it's not working, in my opinion.
Yeah, what we don't want are invasive.
Absolutely.
Correct.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
So-
no, that, we're trying to stay away from.
So does
That's
this
great.
require, does this, to move on, to keep moving, does this require a vote from us for you to
No,
do
it
this?
just requires me to act on it, I think. I'm not sure.
Norm,
Should we
do we have
vote
to
on,
vote
Norm,
on
should we
this one?
vote on allowing this gentleman to remove that silver maple?
Norm?
Well, we can, we've historically done that, but, in reality, don't forget, what the law really says is that we're supposed to remove it and charge him for that removal. That's what the actual the shade tree ordinance actually says, okay? So the
Okay.
whole business is wild.
All right.
So, I mean, if we want to vote on it, just in case someone asks us, that's a good thing. We've got it covered. But meanwhile, we'll tell the guy what he can do. And hopefully it'll all work out for the best, which I think it will.
What do you suggest? Vote?
Should we vote?
Sure.
Sure. Somebody make a motion to allow.
Make a
it.
motion, we vote on it to allow him to remove the tree.
Did you make that?
I made the motion.
I'll second. I assume I can vote. One,
Yeah.
two,
Yeah,
Motion?
four,
yeah, yeah.
first alternate.
What is the motion?
Until somebody says differently, you.
All right, so we moved. So
Vote,
anyone second the motion?
Yes. Ken second.
Okay. All right, so let's vote. I'll vote aye.
I vote, yeah,
Aye.
Aye.
I said.
I vote.
Okay. Bill, what's next?
I have a couple of things that I want to bring to the attention of the commission. Two pieces of property, 212 Alfred Avenue and 8 Carberry Road. These properties have screening hedges of white pines that have now limbed up probably to 12 or 15 feet. Some of them are even showing the vestiges of damage during Sandy from the Earth's last salt. The residents would like to remove the trees and replace them one for one with 7 to 8 foot tall green giant arborvitae. The property on Carberry, there are 14 trees. Of the 14, 7 have structural deficiencies, codominant leaders that indicate the trees have snapped off at one point and new multi-stem tops. So that's a deficiency. But even though some of the trees would fall under the dead, diseased, decayed, dying, the resident wants one for one replace all of the trees at a size that is two size groups over what is specified.
What are the addresses?
8 Carberry Road, that's up here off a deal, and then 212 Alpern, and that one, much smaller lot, and the trees have overtaken the lot. They have the typical decline issues of the white pine. And to compound this one, there is a backyard primary running through here, the old flat wire number 4 copper. And there are 5 splices in the span across the backyard, indicating 5 times that the wire has been broken. So the same thing, they want to replace them all one for one, but they are going to offset their green giants in toward the center of the property to move them further away from that primary line. Again, it makes sense. It does make sense, and they want to replace one for one every tree coming out, and they understand they have to pay the appropriate fee. They have no problem with that. Long term, I think it's a win-win situation.
What is it?
Okay, so let me ask a question. The green giants, do you think they're going to also just do the same thing again in some number of years, or the fact that they're arborvitaes and not white pines, they won't be as wide and take up as much around where they're planted?
And that is why they are offsetting the line of trees away from that leg of the primary power line that runs down between the two properties to help mitigate that. But the size of the lot, there's not a heck of a lot more you can put in there that will accomplish what they want. The white pines obviously failed.
what are they going to put between the trees and the property line? They're going to just put mulch or stones or something or whatever?
That is a question I do not have an answer for, but looking at the way the property is maintained, other than this problem with their screening, I would say they will do the right thing.
Right. Okay.
I can suggest it to their contractor.
Yeah. When we talked about this, I mean, it sounds like a good solution, and we're going to come out. Everyone's going to come out ahead. But
Okay.
it does show that the ordinance, which is based on trees and so on and so forth, this is more like a hedgerow that was put in originally,
That's correct.
and now they're putting that back in. So I would say we're going to be doing other things related to the ordinance at some point, and I think a hedgerow, where it is, like I said, some people have them right along the street, which is really against the regular ordinance, but on the side property lines and so on and so forth. So I think at least consideration of hedgerows as a separate type of planting is probably worth adding to the ordinance at some point.
I discussed that with Colleen Mayer, who is the director of planning and zoning, and she agrees that it should be in there, with the caveat that this is not a solution that allows payment into the shade tree trust. This is a replacement on a one-for-one basis of the number of trees that are removed, and not 6-footers, because as Gene will attest, 5 to 6s, the minute that plant gets to 61 inches, it's in the 5 to 6 foot category, and they look silly. But I think this is something that the Shade Tree Commission wants to look into, because if you get it in writing that it is a replacement, not letting them have the option to pay into the Shade Tree Trust, which we know a lot of people don't want to deal with trees, and they'll just pay the money. But this, I'm not advocating that. Please don't misunderstand that. I think this is probably a good solution for a problem we have.
No, I agree. What I'm thinking is, so let's say someone's developing a new property, right? And he wants to put in a hedgerow of type 2, And I don't know if just a regular development ordinance should address hedgerows as something a little bit different also, depending on, because I see them going in many places, and they're very utilitarian. Point is, you don't want to have something that's going to become a problem later. You don't want something that's going to be a problem later on,
Yeah, no, I can run that by Jim Higgins if you would like.
Yeah, I think we may as well try to have the development ordinances and the, other preservation ordinances at least speak the same language periodically, just by accident if necessary.
Okay.
Okay, Bill, what else you got?
I have 2 things that are interesting, and I promise to shut up. I spoke with Doug Niss, who Gene is familiar with. He is the local representative for the Bartlett Tree Company, as well as one of the docks in Ohio. We had a conference call. They now have a control agent for beech leaf nematode that has an 85% success rate. So that's great, because not only is it working on the American beech, of which we have a fair number of them out in the Green Grove Road area on the western section of Township, west of 35. There are some over here, but not nearly as much. They're also finding out that it does work on the European beech when the infestation is not major. So if you catch it early enough, it is working. There's 2 things they're doing. One is a 3-step foliar application on the smaller trees, 40, 45 feet, they're spraying them. And the other one is very similar to something we used to do to attempt to treat Dutch elm disease. And this is a root collar injection into the tree, which is based on the diameter of the tree, and then however much material is to go in. And it is working. The same caveat, if you catch it early and the crowns have, say, 25% affected to 35%, it is stopping it. And they're very pleased.
Sounds good. This isn't something that can affect the bees, though, right? Like some of the other things.
Well, the injection, you don't have any off-target pesticide. Foliar application, yes, you do. I did request the statement from Bartlett that developed this, but then they published a paper on it, so anybody can get it and use it, which was very good. The
What
second
turns
thing,
off that?
bacterial leaf scorch, of which we're seeing an awful lot in our oaks. You're seeing oak trees die. That's really what it is. And drought exacerbates the rate. But they are finding out. We may not be able to cure the tree, but we can delay its demise. Feeding it dormancy in the fall, 954, 1064, 50% organic seems, if you're doing granular application or the liquid equivalent of it that they inject into the soil, and watering the tree during the drought system, not with sprinklers, not with a sprinkler system, but putting like a golf course sprinkler out there and running it for 3 hours once a week per tree. And the reason for that, a lot of that is your soil geology because it's so sandy. So to get it down, you really got to put a lot of water there to have it effective to get into the feeder root system of the tree. So Douglas equated it to similar treatments for AIDS. We can keep the tree going for maybe not an infinite time, but a finite period, and delay the inevitable, and there will become a point in time where it becomes obvious that, okay, now, so in that time frame, you have the opportunity to plant a replacement tree that is more resistant. Unfortunately for Ocean Township, the red oak family of oaks is more susceptible to this thing than the white oak family. And we probably have a 60-40, 65-35 mix, with the high end being the red oak family to the white oaks. But this is good news, that especially the beech trees, because we thought we were going to lose them all. This came up, somebody got smart, and it worked. And at least we know we can at least slow up the demise of all these oaks.
Great. Is this information you've been able to share with Public Works, Steve?
I only got this information around 2 o'clock today, but I
information
will.
you can share.
Oh yeah, that's why I requested a copy of the Bartlett paper.
Great.
And I will get it to the appropriate people in the township.
Perfect.
And we'll take the action that we can. I don't know who is licensed to do that sort of stuff in the township, but we'll find that out.
Yeah, okay, great.
Shouldn't there be a role of the Shade Tree Commission to sort of publicize it to
What?
residents?
Thank you very much. That was my last point.
To make sure that, either on our website or someplace, that people know that these treatments are available. We don't have to advertise the company that does it, but we should.
I agree 100%. But as I said, I only got this at 2 o'clock this afternoon. So by next month, I hopefully will have multiple copies of this to disseminate, and we can put something together for a page on the website, a Shade Tree Commission page on the website, and get it out. That's a great idea. I think and get rid of the volcano mulching. Yeah, I know.
I don't know how to do that.
Well, believe it or not, Redback Shade Tree has been very proactive on that, and I do see it working, but we're beating them to death with it every year, 3 or 4 times a year. It seems to be working.
Great.
So,
Thanks.
I have a
All right,
question.
so
well, I have one more thing, and then we're still working on a hazard tree survey that not only removals for in a public right of way or large dead limbs overhanging the road from trees in the right of way. Mr. Higgins and I are communicating on this. There are a lot of them. There are 113 road miles, 132 total, but the state highways and county highways come out of that. So we've got roughly 120 road miles.
Mhm.
So that's an awful lot because you got to double it, 2 sides of the road. You've got
Right.
240.
So
Gotcha.
what-
Now I understand your math. And you're coordinating Davies resource work with
No,
their-
I'm coordinating, I'm doing this, I'm driving and I'm noting what I see because they didn't get out on the other side of 35 very much, which is where I've been.
Right, I understand that, but I also think that we need to integrate what they did.
Once
because
I
it's
have the
yeah.
information, that's fine, but I don't have anything I'm comfortable doing that with yet. I'm doing this on my own time.
We just paid.
We just paid, we have the tree survey, it's in Tree Keeper, the
I
entire,
understand that, but they didn't get on the other side of 35.
I understand, I'm not saying I'm saying add what they did to what you're doing.
Oh,
Because
yeah, and
needs
some
to
of
be
it does
part
not
of
match up. Some they don't have.
But what they do have,
I
I
don't
think,
think
needs
we're
to be
meeting.
addressed right now.
What I'm trying to do is prioritize, Ken, because there's some that, oh man, this is next week. We have a few of those, but a lot
There
of.
were a couple of JD survey also. Jane,
No,
just
don't.
responsibility for the township and everything else. I think those high risk ones that are on JD need to be on your
All
list
right,
as well. Because I just think it puts the town at risk if something happened with those trees and we have the survey saying, these are an imminent threat, and weren't looking at them.
I'm an employee, all the residents. That means talk to your council members and get them here so you can get a budget.
Well, no, as Shade Tree Commission, we're saying this is something that needs to be done.
Yeah, but I can't do that to the governing body.
Don't forget, the Shade Tree Commission really only has responsibility for trees in the public right of way. So if you want homeowners to do something, you want to give them information, we can provide them information, but we have no jurisdiction over their plans. That's why the tree preservation ordinance actually generated out of the Environmental Commission. But I think it can all work out together eventually. But in the meantime, Bill, you finish because we've got some guests here who came to.
Well, I think we do Colonial Terrace if we can.
Norm, are you saying that the trees in the Davy survey that were designated as hazardous are not in public right of way?
No, they all are. They are. But someone else mentioned about giving information to homeowners for things and so on and so forth. And we can obviously give information to everyone, but we really have no jurisdiction over the trees on the private property.
We're talking about the public trees in the Davies survey, though, Norm. They're public right away, and we're just saying the worst of those, because they're highlighted as the worst of the worst, simply saying include those in your list with public works so that the town is not liable if something happens to them. I think that's and I know I had this conversation with Dave, with the town government, and they want us, especially when we've got something on paper, like to be using the survey we did. So that's the question.
And what's the role of Higgins? I don't understand.
Mr. Higgins is Director of Public Works. He replaced.
Oh, Steve Higgins.
No.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
No, not the other Higgins. We got too many Higgins.
Steve Higgins.
It's confusing.
Okay, I'm
You're
sorry.
thinking Jim.
No,
Yeah,
Steve
no, I was going to
Higgins,
talk to
Public
Jim
Works.
about the other
Public
stuff.
Works.
I'm sorry. My
Public
fault.
Works.
Okay.
Oh, my
We've got two
comment was,
Higgins.
if you do end up with some kind of write-up that you're publicizing on your own page, we'd be happy to publicize it on the Yours Township Article
Thank you.
Facebook page.
Okay,
Just like
thank you.
the nature of the disease and stuff, I want to know.
Yeah.
Sure.
And my
Look out for the
question,
trees on my property.
my question would be, because I have all red oaks, is, would the fertilization be recommended as a preventative?
It is not necessarily, no, it will not prevent it.
Okay,
But what it does is it fosters new root growth and better canopy. This is what happens. when I
Makes the
talk to
tree
scientists.
healthier and conditioner.
Yeah, this is what happens when I talk to scientists. I'm gonna have to look up a lot of the words they use.
Okay.
But it is after fall dormancy,
mhm,
so when they wake up in the spring, okay, I'm feeling a little better now,
okay,
but water seems to be the key.
yeah, okay, thank you.
Colonial Terrace, and that's it that I have, Norm.
Okay.
You have the floor, Laz.
All right. So I'm coming into this a little bit in the middle of things, it would seem. Linda printed these out. I'll print these out for us. Okay, sorry.
Okay. So
So,
Share a copy.
you know,
Thank you.
I got brought in to this, right? And it feels like it's something that's been going on. So you folks, I'd imagine, have a significant amount of information about what happened. I have a couple conversations under my belt, but some, I guess, what I hope are pretty straightforward questions about what do we need to do to continue to move forward with that beautification of the berm, right? That's what we're here to talk about. The
That
traffic
and the
circle
line of Quonset cherries.
and the Quonset cherries.
Long
Yes. Yep.
thing.
Yes. Yep. Yeah.
So the last page of what you gave us, makes sense. Can we start
We could
with
start.
that page?
Okay.
Because this is what Bill Has anyone in the shade community seen this? I've seen it because I saw it. Bill, remember we've been asking for the plan on the terrace? Well, here it is.
Yeah.
Third page. This is what Bill wrote.
Do you have
You
one?
have a copy?
So, and this is from this, the request of the residents of Colonial Terrace. And they've had a chance to look at it and will give us their input. And then we can discuss it and see what it is, if we want to move forward with it.
Ken, I just suggested what you're reading as a possible, timeline of events to move this along.
Right, that's how I read that as a step-by-step process on
Well-
how to go from today to tomorrow.
Yeah, and obviously, if anybody thinks they've got a better idea, please bring it up, because I know. But I think that would work.
So what do all of you think about this?
Yeah, what did you all think about this?
No, we thought that this was good. A couple of the questions that came up were, because it looks like are you separating out the removal and then the replanting into two different steps?
The removals can be done by the township, because now the township has a bucket truck.
Okay.
We will have to, the locust trees that are there are 5 or 6 of them. The one thing I did propose is not to grind the stumps out immediately on removal, because what'll happen is you will get new suckers coming up out of the root tips, and you'll have hundreds of little baby locust trees that have thorns on them that are horrible. But rather to treat the stump at the time of removal with Garlon 4, which is a woody plant herbicide that does not spread. Garlon 4 is listed and authorized for use in wetlands and along stream banks. Garlon 3 is the oil-based, and you may not use that there. This is what the power companies use to stop sucker growth on black locusts and other nasty species of tree.
So it stays within the woody.
It stays within the woody stem, and it takes roughly a year, Ken, and then you grind the stumps out. But where those locusts are, the cherry trees won't be an issue, because you can get inside them, and they're not going to be close. But these trees are declining, and there's no point in planting nice new plant material and putting under trees that are going to fail.
Right.
So,
Yeah, my only question was, how bad are these trees? Do they need to come out? And I'm not a tree expert, so I don't. And I got some feedback from some of your folks, like,
Yeah.
we like some of these trees, or what. So where are you guys with this?
Yeah, some of the cherry trees I think are in good shape and could stay and are totally
Oh, no,
fine.
there's-
So, it would
there were
just,
5 cherries
yeah, right.
to come out. The rest of them stayed from.
We were comfortable with the ones that Bill identified as
Okay.
needing to come out.
Okay.
Good. Okay. I didn't make that, I'm sorry for not making that clear in what I went out,
No,
but
it's okay. The major question that we had were around what would go back into. Right, obviously, we could save time continuing talking about timeline for another, but that was another major, thought, because you had made some, recommendations, but
okay. Let me address it in 2 parts.
yeah, go for it.
I think you're kind of, I'm going to use the term stuck with the high grafted Quonsons, because that
Okay.
is a line of
Oh.
memorial trees.
Yeah.
And there, I think that
For those.
it would be a hodgepodge look
It would look a little goofy, yeah.
Yeah,
if we did that.
right,
Now, the species of, I'm going to call them berm trees
yeah, sure,
that I selected
Yeah.
were trees that would do well in that type of soil. Proximity to the rivers, because salt's a problem.
Yeah.
And we know that. I neglected one that I would like to add to that list tonight, which is Serbian spruce.
okay,
It's a handsome tree. It does not get real large. Big one would be 40 feet. It's compact. It's very pyramidal. Has a beautiful blue-green needle. It's short, and it's very snow and ice load tolerant. So it's not a super rapid grower, but it's a moderate growth rate. Max height 45. I've seen them bigger than that, maybe 60, but that is the but that would work. And since it has a nice pyramidal shape, when they grow, the critical zone is the first 15 or so feet to block the headlights and attenuate the noise.
Right.
It might be a good one to consider.
So were there any trees in that part of the plan that you particularly liked or that you particularly didn't like? I mean, it's like, you know, 'cause I'm not sure, you know, what we're gonna find and get either. I think sometimes, right, you have to see what they're.
Yeah, what's out there. But
What's out there, but is there anything you definitely like didn't, because we want you to be happy,
Yeah,
but you know, so give us some, you know, is there anything that you know you don't like, anything that you really do like on the list?
I don't have an answer for that right now, so I can, but my question, I guess, back to that would be like, everything on this list from like a budget perspective is in scope? So is like all of this in scope, or is there a more targeted approach that we should take from a budget perspective? Right.
Well, I mean, we're gonna
I don't
put
know
it
how,
out to
I
bid,
truly
so
don't know how it works, yeah.
I don't know what it is until we put it out to bid and we get the prices, but Gene, you would probably know, you do this stuff all the
Well,
time.
you have to look at it, yeah.
I mean,
And we don't know how much the town's gonna do themselves, so
Correct.
at this point.
But we can spec some of
yeah, so I mean,
that.
it's
So
just,
everybody's-
I think just,
How many trees are we talking
10.
about? 10, okay.
From the list, are,
So it didn't
any of
really-
them, are they all deer tolerant?
Well, the Quonsons will remove them. They are.
Like the spruce?
The Serbian is pretty darn good. I've never seen them really ripped up. I suggested red cedar, white cedar. We know they are. The Ketlerite juniper, which looks very much like a white cedar. It's got a beautiful blue-green
I
color.
don't need a description, I just wanted to know
Well,
about deer.
they are being used to replace trees that the deer have eaten. Rumson Country Club has been very successful with that. You're locked out.
I think all of them would have to be protected when they're small.
Yes, small, they're going to have to have the sleeves
Rub
on
on
the
them.
trunks so the deer don't rub the Quonsons to death. They're shallow. And we may even have to put some fencing around the conifers when they go in. The one thing I would stress is two plant species, no white pines, no Leyland cypress.
yeah.
Leyland cypress, we're having terrible problems with. The nurseries actually are not even planting them in many cases. That's why they're
And they
not
get
on
ugly
there.
and they die up and, yeah,
In fact, they have basal root canker, bagworm, which kills them. They're terrible snow load. They're very shallow rooted, so they don't survive drought.
And of the ornamental trees, was there anything you guys liked better than others or disliked?
No, the Quonset cherry trees, those are the ones that they want to stick with. Yeah,
That makes
yeah, they want
sense
to stick with
because
that.
those are
It's
the
a row
only-
of like memorial trees. so
That's-
that-
All right,
yeah.
Bill, if nothing else, you can give the people, you know, if they've got the names, maybe we'll put, in the minutes, we'll put out something that, you know, they can do research and look at what these trees look like at various stages, you know, on the internet, stuff like that.
They
When
already,
is this planting supposed to go in? When are we supposed to actually plant anything?
Well, we gotta put it out for bid first, Norm. I mean, the Shade Tree Commission and the town have to figure out who's funding how much and where. So I'm thinking it's gonna be spring, but at this point in time, that takes the fall planting hazards out of a lot of stuff. And since we have the capability now to water them because we have a water tanker.
Right. But maybe Public Works can do removals in the fall.
Yeah, does the
And then
removal
it's done.
and then, is that separate? Are you guys kind of thinking of like two projects? Because like we know the cherry trees are dead, they need to come out and we
And the
know
locust
exactly what we want to
trees are
put back in. Like, is that,
That can certainly be accomplished before you make a decision on the number, where, and the species of trees, because they have to come out first anyway.
anyways, that's kind of what I was trying to
My
feel
guess
out,
would
like,
be-
could that get done while we continue the broader process?
I don't want to speak.
Okay,
for Public
I'd like-
Works, but we're getting close to leaf season, so I'm thinking after
I'd-
that, time project.
I'd like to give the Garden Club a chance to present
Okay, no,
what they're doing.
absolutely.
Thank you, guys.
I'm done.
Appreciate it.
But we don't want, you're good? He's good? You're good?
Yeah.
For now? Okay.
I would say
do you have my
Hollywood
number?
has
No.
some very old cherry.
So we're here because the Garden Club, I'm Diane Sermon, I'm the co-president, Sarah Galloway is a member and a huge native plant enthusiast. And we're here because the Garden Club has taken on a project at the library. We are revamping the long neglected gardens.
Show you some
So,
photos before and after.
Yeah,
We've already had a wonderful help from the Public Works, and I'm hoping that you'll have a chance to go to the library and take a look. There's 3 gardens in question, and the first one is to the left of the door in front of the children's library windows. And the Public Works already came and took that whole garden out. And last Sunday, we had about 16 volunteers there replanting the garden. So it's been replanted, we deer protected some things.
And this is the plan.
It's all native plants in there now, yes? Like 95% native, except for the existing Katsura tree that we're still trying to decide whether that's gonna make it or not. Right now, it's looking a little bit weak, but we don't know if that's just because of the drought this summer.
Water.
Well, I don't think it's been watered, but now that
Okay.
we're there to water
No,
the other things, we'll water in the Katsura. So we're
Yeah,
calling
Katsura
that,
trees always turn yellow when it starts to get drought-like. The leaves, they drop a lot of leaves when that happens.
We may want to give it a chance to live.
yeah. So we're
Yeah.
referring to that as phase 1. As you walk up the sidewalk to go to the library, there's a small circular bed on the right-hand side. We've not done anything other than a little bit of weeding in there. We're referring to that as phase 2. And the large circular one that we assumed was a rain garden, but now we're hearing maybe was built on a pond or a pool bed. We're referring to that as phase 3.
Yeah, there was an old swimming pool.
Yeah.
Okay, so maybe that is
Yeah.
maybe that's phase
That
3.
little house there was the pool house.
Yeah, oh, okay. Oh, okay. So we're really here to introduce the project and to hopefully partner with you folks in the future for any of the larger tree replacements that we might want to do. You know, if we decide that the Katsura is not going to make it, we used Garden Club money to replace a lot of the plants that are already in there. We got some donations. People brought some of their own plants. But for something as big as a tree, I don't know that we have the funds to do that. So we're hoping that if we decide we want to, down the line, replace the Katsura tree, maybe that's something we could approach you about. If we wanted to put something of a small shade tree, an understory tree in phase 2, we're hoping maybe that's something that we could approach you folks about. But for now, we're here just to introduce the project.
Well, thank you, and thank you for all the work that you're doing and all the work you continue to do and the volunteerism you continue to do.
Oh, thank you.
The bodies that show up and help with our things, you guys are wonderful. So absolutely, come to us what you need and we'll probably do the best we can.
And with your expertise here, does anybody feel like this tree is dead? Or, I mean, to me, it looks, I'm not an expert, but it looks.
Wait and see.
Wait and see, yeah.
Give it to the spring.
So we were already partnered with the township and maybe get a
One of
replacement.
our suggestions, we have 10 minutes left. We have 10 minutes, Norm.
Well, phase 1, we're considering,
Okay.
other than the Katsura tree, phase 1 is done.
So we've installed, it's gone rapid fire, fairly efficient with all the volunteers doing the work. But any garden needs to have ongoing maintenance, so it's gonna be, and the timeline for a garden is forever.
So these are flowering.
Yeah, as you can see on the plan on the other side, you know, we as gardeners, we know how much maintenance is involved in keeping a garden. So we stuck with a lot of shrubs that, you know, so just to keep maintenance down. Once they're established and their roots are strong and they're watered after the first couple of years, they're gonna do fine and there's not gonna be a lot of weeding under there. So we kept a pollinator plot really small. And just to be pragmatic, what's that?
It's supposed to be big, is that what you're saying?
Pollinators.
It's like the shrubs are for the pollinators.
Yeah.
I really appreciate it.
It's a pollinator garden, but it's also a pragmatic garden. Because we have a lesson from other public gardens that, you know, if it requires a lot of weeding, then it's doesn't do so well. So we make the pollinator bed front and center, so it gets a lot of eyeballs. And the less maintenance shrubs, once they're established, you know, will kind of recede into the background and won't need a lot of ongoing maintenance. So,
Well, thank
and
you.
this is where that we're gonna wait and see if that tree lives. And
Okay.
we want to have
It's
an
amazing
education.
that you have to put a.
All right,
Well,
look,
I
we've only got a
suggest-
few minutes left.
Yeah, we gotta
Norm,
keep
I-
it on the agenda, sorry.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Norm,
Thanks,
I
Patty,
suggest you
Patty,
jump to step 6.
Yeah, thanks, Norm. Yeah, Shade Tree Commission, Sub-Planning Committee is continuing to move. Ken and I have been working on that, and we've been continuing to meet. It's going very well. I sent all of you, what I need from you all tonight, I sent all of you a survey on email. You should have gotten it, just to put eyeballs on. It's a draft, but the idea is we're going to be sending, we met with the superintendent of schools, and they'll allow us to use Backpack, their software, to get it to everybody's homes. We can put it on the website. Dave, Dave Brown, thinks it's a great idea. Says, yes, absolutely. Shade Tree approves it. Go for it. So, and we can put it on our Shade Tree page. But it basically just asks people, you didn't have a chance to put eyeballs on it. You know, do you have trees outside your house? Do you have flooding? Do you want to get more involved? And there's the map we're creating using the election voting map and the zoning map. We're creating a map with just numbers and colors, so people can just pick a number where they live. So we'll get an idea of who's responding to us, and then we'll be able to get that information, which is information we don't have, and hopefully it'll also help us reach out to folks in the overburdened communities. So I just want the okay from the Shade Tree for us to continue on with this. We'll definitely send around a final when it's finished, but just like to get approval from the Shade Tree that we can do this and get it out.
Well, Patty, you sent something out to everybody, right?
We are going to send it out to. I will send it out to the Shade Tree.
Yes.
We'll send the final out
Yes.
to everybody.
Right. Send it out to everybody and let them make comments, and then we'll have a final eventually.
So should we make a motion?
Should we make a motion? Yes, I can't motion. I think I brought it up.
I'll move it.
Yeah, but I don't think you have to make a motion on everything that we're doing if we're not doing anything that involves
Just
money
do
and
it,
everything.
Patty.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I would say you send it out to everybody and get comments back, and then at some point we'll move it out of the Shade Tree Commission. But internally, I don't think we have to make motions anymore. Personally.
We'd like to send it out before the next meeting, though, the Shade Tree Commission.
Yes, he's saying we don't need to vote on it.
Okay.
We can do it. We can do it online. We can do it in email. Okay.
Great.
Angela
great.
Baxey's put a lot of work into it. She's done a few drafts. We've really looked at the language a lot. So, yeah. Be kind. All right. So.
Okay. Anybody else have anything? I mean, some of the
I
other
do.
things that are on the agenda.
I do,
I'm going to
Norm.
try and send emails. Okay. Yes, sir.
Jack Kearns. Norm, I was
Yeah.
at the workshop of the council meeting tonight. Patty was there and made a presentation explaining what we were doing and looking for the support of the council. And the council president, Napolitano, invited us also to Patty to come back and review what we're doing at the Shade Tree with the council meeting in a fairly frequent way, maybe every other council meeting or whatever, council workshop. So I think that's a good thing. We're starting to get some attention from the council, and that's important. And Patty did a heck of a job, a really great job there tonight. And I think we ought to just get behind her, and whatever she needs, we do.
Okay.
But I feel supported. I feel loved. So don't worry.
Sounds good. So we'll just keep moving. So she's got this thing we're all going to take a look at, and we'll coordinate. We'll go forward. So anyone else have anything else? In the theoretical
Carrie,
2 minutes we have left.
Carrie is not feeling well, so she hasn't been at our meetings from the council. Councilman Terry.
Okay, that's good. That's good. Is she's going to be our person?
She has been appointed. She just has not been physically able to get there because of health reasons.
Oh, I understand. That's good. That's very good. I actually been lax. I looked at the last minutes and I said, oh, I didn't do any of these things I said I was going to do. Surprise everybody, all right? Anyway. But I'll try. I'm also going to try and get something, the questions we have about tree keep, all those things. I'm going to probably try and send emails to each person individually so I can keep track. We can talk, have a small conversation of what people are and aren't looking at and blah, 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 blah. Okay. Anyone want to punt?
What, Norm?
Anybody want to punt?
All right.
I would like to make a motion to adjourn.
A second.
Okay.
Jack, Patty.
Vote.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Or me, depending how you do that.
Thank you, Norm.
Thank you, Norm. Feel better.